Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We have seen the basic information on directors. Now we are moving on to the second part of directors, which is on the directors' duties. Now we have seen the definition of directors under section 2, subsection 1, and section 210. They also further define directors to include Chief Executive Officer, this is officer, who we normally say or call short form as CEO, Chief Financial Officer or CFO, Chief Operating Officer or COO, or any other primarily responsible for the management of company. So this is just a matter of definition, but the CEO, CFO, COO is the standard one. Okay. Now, when we talk about directors, we know you have also previously learned that directors are agents of the company, right? And having capacity to enter contracts on behalf of the company, but still subject to some limitation. And being a directors, they owe their duties to the company, and any breach, okay, we entitle the company to sue the directors. When we talk about suing, we talk about the general principles of force and arbiter, whereby only the company is the proper plaintiff to take actions against the directors. Now, when we talk about duties, we talk about basically two categories of duties, which is fiduciary duties and other statutory duties. Okay. First of all, we're going to look into these duties. Okay, the best part is to look into the sections of the Companies Act, and the first one we need to look at is section 213, subsection 1. Where section 213, subsection 1 talks about a director of a company shall at all times exercise his powers in accordance with this act for a proper purpose, okay, and in good faith in the best interest of the company, right? So there are two parts, which is for proper purpose. Let me just highlight here, okay, and in good faith in the best interest of the company. So this is the two parts. First of all, we need to look at the proper purpose. Okay, when we talk about purpose, we talk about what are the purpose set out in the Constitution. And the directors are prohibited from exercising its power for any collateral or any done act for an impermissible purpose. So now, whatever you do, it is actually meant for the purpose set out in the Constitution. Okay, you are not allowed to do any other than the interests of the company. Okay, in the case of Howard Smith and Ampol Petroleum Limited, in this case, the directors had acted in the best interest of the company, but transaction had been motivated by some improper purpose. Okay, now the court says that there is a test. So when we wanted to look into the validity of that particular transaction, this is where the court says that what is required is bona fide exercise of the powers in the interest of the company. Now, once it is found out that the directors were not motivated by self-interest, matter is concluded in their favor, and the court will not inquire into validity of the reasons for making such decision. What it means is that as long as the transaction is not motivated by some improper purpose, meaning to say the directors doing it solely for the company, benefits of the company, and it actually fulfill the purpose set out in the Constitution, the court will not inquire into those validity of transaction. Okay. Now, even that directors may act honestly for the benefit of the company, right? But if there are some collateral purpose, meaning to say, if I do it, I'm going to get something for it. Okay. Now look at this case of Pan and Simon, where the directors of the company issued new shares with the object as to enable this particular new shareholders, right, to pass special resolution and thereby depriving other shareholders of special rights. Meaning to say, they're going to get a very sufficient majority to pass some resolution. So that was the whole purpose. So the court says that the shares were not issued bona fide for the general advantage of the company, but it was issued for the immediate controlling of the shareholders solely for the purpose of special resolution and not a fair and bona fide exercise. So basically, yes, it was meant for the benefit of the company, right, issuing new shares, but when it was motivated by some collateral purpose, so those particular transactions are also not valid. So when we talk about best interest, the case of Greenhawk and Arden Cinema says best interest means that the directors must act in the interest of the shareholders as a collective group. I would actually recommend all of you to read the case of Rees Smith and Fawcett and Reed W&M Royth Limited. Now, when the directors completely disregard the interests of the company, they will be held liable to pay the company whatever amount lost, right? So, if anyone else's interest is given priority, directors are in breach of their duty to the company. Okay, this is what was decided in the case of Walker and Wimber. So, this is when we talk about best interest. Now, when we talk about best interest, we also need to talk about individual shareholders. Is that correct? Maybe, maybe not. We need to talk about shareholders as a whole. Now, directors must act in good faith in the interest of the shareholders. This does not mean that they owe a duty to particular shareholders. Now, look at this case. Directors agrees to buy shareholders' shares but did not disclose there was impending takeover at a substantially higher price. Okay, shareholder later sought to rescind the contract of the sale of his shares by saying that directors breached his duty. However, in this case, the court held that they rejected the shareholders' claim because the directors only owed duty to the company as a whole, not to the individual shareholders. So basically, they did not need to disclose of the impending takeover bid. But what about this one? Okay, you compare with this case, Coleman and Myers, whereby managing directors arranged for the company to be taken over by an undervalued by a new company controlled by him. Now, do you think it is important to tell the shareholders? Yes. This is where the court held that breach. Okay, the managing director breached the director's duties. Okay, because they owed the minority shareholders some duties. Because all of the directors need to know what's going on. Okay, now in this case, the directors failed to disclose to the shareholders regarding the true value of the company's assets. So I suggest we read together the case of Woodhouse, Justice Woodhouse, where he says that the factors which would rise to a fiduciary duties to individual shareholders include dependence upon information and advice, existence of relationship of confidence, significance of some particular transaction for parties, and of course the extent of any positive action taken by or on behalf of the director or directors to promote. So basically, these are the things that even though there are individual shareholders, these are the factors which actually says that the directors has a duty towards the shareholders. Okay. Now, look at this case, Singaporean case, Tai Kim San and Lim Che Kia. In this case, the managing director has breached his duty. He failed to disclose future plans for listing and expansion of the company when he purchased the shares from those shareholders. Now, the court says that defendant did not breach his duties, okay, because there was no special circumstances. In fact, the shareholders knew of those information on the future management plan. They knew. So, there was no breach of fiduciary duties. Okay. The court held that they did not dispose of their shares as a result of the defendant's conduct. So, if the shareholders disposed because of the director's conduct, probably the directors owed them duty. So, they simply just sell off their shares. This is does not actually arise some special circumstances. Okay. Now, the other duty of the other duties under fiduciary duties is the duty to exercise reasonable care, skill, and diligence. This is governed by Section 213, subsection 2. Okay, Section 213, subsection 2. This is where the director, these provisions under Section 213, subsection 2. It says that the director of a company shall exercise reasonable care, skill, and diligence with the knowledge and skill and experience which may reasonably be expected of the directors having the same skill and responsibilities, as well as any additional knowledge and skill and experience which the directors has. Now, this is A and B. Okay. So, Section 213, subsection 2, paragraph A talks about knowledge, skill, and experience, whereby Section 213, subsection 2, paragraph B, just now was paragraph A. So, paragraph B talks about additional knowledge, skill, and experience which the directors has. What is exercise reasonable care? Okay. Look at this case, re-equity fire insurance. Now, when we talk about care, the director at common law must take care of his affairs in the company as he would reasonably take his own affairs. Basically, in this Re-City Equitable Fire Insurance Company, Justice Roman stated that a director is bound to take reasonable care and diligence. That is to be measured by the care of an ordinary man might be expected to take in circumstances on his behalf. So basically, you can just ask yourself, what would I do? Okay, if the same circumstances arise? It's just an ordinary man test. What about the standard skill? Okay, duty to exercise a standard skill as required of a director. Okay. Now, in the same case as well, the court held that director need not exhibit a greater degree of skill that may reasonably be expected from him as for his knowledge and experience. Okay. So, the level of skill required will depend on his level of skill. So, when we talk about level of skill, okay, if a director is a doctor, okay, if he is a lawyer, he is required to be used that skill in the company. If he's a director, he is expected to give that or possess that skill as a doctor. So, if you are in any profession, you are expected to have those skills in that particular profession. So, a director is required to have a minimum skill base or a minimum objective standard. So, if director has additional knowledge, skill, and experience, he will be assessed against those additional knowledge, skill, and experience.